Hello and welcome to HITC Sport. Right, we've done the January transfer window to death, but I'm going to eke out one more video and look at some of the transfers I might have missed over the past month. I know I certainly did, but I've been busy drowning in Christmas chocolate, office reruns and Premier League footy each and every night of the week. Christ, why is there so much football? Anyway, here are 12 January transfers you might have missed, although some of them actually happened in February on account of when the deadline was, but just ignore that. Number 1, Islam Slimani to Lyon. Christ, finally Islam Slimani's Leicester nightmare is over. The Algerian was the marquee rival following the Foxes' title win, with Ranieri splashing out £28 million to sign one of the most lethal strikers in all of Portugal. But while he averaged a goal every other game for Sporting, Slimani was about as useful as a wet paper towel on a sore knee. Seriously lads, it doesn't do anything. The striker ended his Leicester career with just 13 goals in 48 appearances, which works out at £2.15 million for every goal. It's like doing your local shop at Waitrose only to be offered slop and out-of-date bread. Slimani also had some loan spells away from the King Power, although the less said about his time at Newcastle the better. But with just 6 months to run on his Leicester deal, Slimani is finally free, joining Lyon where he gets to play alongside other Premier League flops including Memphis Depay and Jason Denayer. Number 2, GEDSON Fernandes to Galatasaray. Tottenham fans will know all about this deal, but for those of us outside the corridors of the new White Hart Lane, we probably all forgot that GEDSON Fernandes was actually even a Spurs player. I was so confused I thought we were talking about GEDSON Fernandes, the guy who used to play for City back when Sven-Göran Eriksson was in charge. But a year after joining Spurs on loan from Benfica, the Premier League dream is over for Fernandes, who's had his loan deal cut 6 months short to follow DeAndre Yedlin to Galatasaray. We never really saw much of Fernandes in a Spurs shirt, and in hindsight he was a pretty odd little signing. He was wildly unknown, didn't have a lot of first team experience, yet Tottenham agreed to possibly pay £56 million for him in the future. I highly doubt that's going to happen now. Number 3, Max Meyer to Cologne. The German's Crystal Palace nightmare is finally over, years after being hailed as one of the best signings of the season when he first arrived. To be fair, it looked like a great deal. Meyer had been touted as a future star, yet Crystal Palace were able to pick him up for absolutely nothing. Then again, maybe that was a sign things weren't quite what they seemed. Meyer never got going at Selhurst Park and was a frustrated figure on the Palace bench watching Roy Hodgson's workmanlike midfield fail to muster up any chances. All the while Meyer just sits on the bench dreaming of going home to fire darts at a picture of his manager's face. The midfielder's contract was terminated by Palace on January 15th and just 10 days later he had himself a new club, heading back to Germany with Cologne on a deal until the end of the season. Number 4, Bas Dost to Club Brugge. Christ, this guy was linked with Newcastle so much you couldn't breathe in Eldon Square without someone telling you Dost was in town for a medical. If you've got a chance in the 6-yard box, this is the guy you want on the end of it. The king of the poachers, Bas Dost gobbles up any close range chances like a fat lad spotting an opening at the buffet. Bas Dost has scored goals throughout his career, but particularly at Sporting he was incredible. Honestly made his predecessor Islam Slimani look like Carlton Cole up there. But after struggling in Germany with Frankfurt, Bas Dost was on the move again this winter in a deal I completely missed. Dost is now playing for Club Brugge in Belgium, and unsurprisingly, he's off to a flying start. He's been followed there by Tahith Chong from Man United, who had been at Werder Bremen, so he can have that one for free as well. Number 5, SAMI KHEDIRA to Hertha Berlin. A World Cup winner, loads of trophies with Real Madrid and Juventus, yet how did I not realise SAMI KHEDIRA had been on the move during the last transfer window? To be honest, I was surprised he was still at Juventus. He's played so little in the past few years, you'd think he was just there to carry Ronaldo's bags and tell him he's pretty. KHEDIRA is back in the Bundesliga though, joining Hertha Berlin where it looks like he's gone from being next to Ronaldo to babysitting Matteo Guendouzi, who's actually having a wonderful little time in Germany. Number 6, RUBEN Vinagre to Famalicão. Remember when this guy was going to be Wolves' main left back when Johnny picked up a massive injury? Well, now he's on his second loan spell of the season. First he was shipped off to Greece to play for Olympiacos, where they even had the option to make the deal permanent. Obviously that's not going to happen now, as Vinagre's been on the move again, this time joining Famalicão on loan, where he's the third Wolves player to join them this season. Christ, it's basically like an overwater crush for Nuno Espirito Santo's side. Just make sure you don't lose them when you go for tapas. Number 7, Hulk to Atletico Mineiro. The Hulkster's a bit of a footballing enigma, in the same way that the actual Hulkster is. Honestly Terry, just give it up, you're 67, stop calling everyone brother for goodness sake. But anyway, Hulk has been synonymous in the game for the past 10 years. He's been lethal in front of goal. Everywhere he's been, he's averaged a goal every other game, while he's also been to World Cups and the Olympics with Brazil. You have never seen him at a proper top club. He's gone from Porto to Zenit and then he followed the cash to China, all the while drowning in a sea of rumours about a move to the Premier League. We even saw talk this year that he could be on his way to England. But instead, Hulk has gone back to Brazil and signed a 2-year deal with Atletico Mineiro, who were managed by one of the hipsters' favourites, Jorge Sampaoli. Number 8, Jean-Michel Seri to Bordeaux. We've got a lot of Premier League flops here, but that's exactly what Jean-Michel Seri shouldn't have been. This was meant to be a landmark signing by Fulham. Barcelona were after him not too long before he went to Craven Cottage. But it turned out to be an absolute disaster for Seri, whose only crowning achievement was that stunner against Burnley. At the end of the year they were relegated, and a player who could have been living it up at the new camp alongside the likes of Lionel Messi didn't fancy a midweek trip to Middlesbrough, although I don't think anyone does, to be honest. Seri went out on loan and on his return didn't even get a chance in the Premier League squad. While Zambo Anguissa has proven to be one of Fulham's top players this season, Seri has just been sat at home doing the dishes and watching murder documentaries on Netflix, which is effectively what he did to his career when he headed to England. Seri's nightmare's over though, temporarily at least, joining Bordeaux on loan until the end of the season. Number 9, Patrick CUTRONE to Valencia. When Raul Jimenez went down with an injury, Wolves' striker problems were laid bare for all to see. All the while they had Patrick CUTRONE living it up on loan to Fiorentina. Well, living it up's a little bit of a stretch, he was there, not scoring many goals. But he was recalled to Wolves in January, and to me I thought he'd get a run in Nuno's side. Instead they brought in Willian Jose from Real Sociedad, while Patrick CUTRONE has slipped out the back door to join Valencia. I mean, what was the point? I think they could have gotten past Chorley without him. If anything, it might have made things a bit easier. CUTRONE's Wolves move has been an absolute disaster, but that's what he gets for not being Portuguese. I've called a lot of deals disasters here. Come on James, work on your vocabulary, come on. Number 10, Will Grigg to MK Dons. Remember a few years ago when no matter where you went you could hear a chorus of Will Grigg's on fire. You could be rolling the A's at Asda or paying your respects at a funeral and you'd still hear a load of people telling you that Will Grigg's on fire and that your defence is indeed terrified. Well, fast forward a few years and the only one who looks terrified has been Will Grigg. The man looks shell-shocked every time he gets a chance in front of goal, and that's if he's allowed on the pitch. Grigg was a total flop at Sunderland, made even worse that he was actually quite an expensive signing for a League One club, and it was splashed all over Netflix alongside Sex Education and reruns of Gogglebox. Grigg's northeast nightmare is over though, returning to MK Dons for a second loan spell and a chance to relight his fire like a bloody Take That tribute band. Number 11, Alex Butner to Limassol. You know, in years to come when you sat with your mates trying to name obscure Premier League title winners because you've got nought better to do in this endless cycle of lockdown apocalypse, Alex Butner's a great shout. I've no idea how he did it, but Alex Butner can live safe in the knowledge that he'll always have more Premier League winners' medals than Steven Gerrard. He even scored in Sir Alex Ferguson's final game, that incredible 5-5 draw that probably inspired Man United to sign Lukaku, then throw him away like yesterday's jam. But back to Butner, considering his career at Old Trafford, it's clear how lucky he was to be part of that squad. It was as if he was a competition winner from a packet of Cheerios. Butner was released by New England Revolution in the MLS last month, but he's already got himself a new club, securing a return to Europe by joining Apollon Limassol in Cyprus. How lovely. And finally, number 12, Olivier NTCHAM to Marseille. Okay, this one probably isn't a secret because of the fallout, but I just want to talk about it. So Olivier NTCHAM left Celtic on deadline day, no doubt buzzing to leave the Glasgow strugglers behind. He can forget all about blowing 10 in a row and start afresh somewhere else. The Frenchman completed a loan move to Marseille, where he gets to play alongside top players such as Dimitri Payet and Florian Thauvin. It was an ideal move for NTCHAM, then just a day later the manager André Villas-Boas hands in his resignation, because the simple reason was that he didn't want NTCHAM at the club. Imagine that, getting the move you wanted then forcing the manager to walk out. NTCHAM's only been there 5 minutes and he's probably the most hated man at the training ground. He just walked into the cafeteria with eyes glaring at him. All he wants is his Yorkshire puddings, lads, come on. Christ, I bet he can't wait to go back to Celtic now, although Celtic fans will hope he has the same effect back in Glasgow and forces Neil Lennon to leave after all. So there we go, those are 12 transfers you might have missed from January. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to HITC Sport. And until next time, we will see you around.